payback over 10 or 15 years. It's not as noticeable.
Okay, I think this will come all full circle here on the last set of handouts.
You handle the numbers.
Huh?
And you handle the budget.
Yeah. It's good news, I mean, in a way, it's good news, so,
This time I won't score. I'll just follow you.
Follow me along.
Oh, you got a double hand.
Are these all
I would have blew it
A,
by
B,
you.
C, D?
yeah, perfect, at least three, see, there's three, yes, thank you. So, my recommendation is, you go, 4A, how about 4A for the big one, you keep that simple? I'll let everybody get them first, hold on.
I do.
Thank you.
John, it's slow.
Number 4.
He's got a double handful, so I blew mine.
Didn't you say
Yeah,
number 4?
I got my game now.
Yeah, I'll label them for you, give me one minute, let everybody get them.
4A, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so you got three pieces of paper, this big one here
I
is
didn't forget you.
4A,
My arms aren't long enough.
okay? This color one, let's make that 4B, the one that's got all the colors on it. Okay, perfect. And then the last one will be 4C, right?
Which last one? I'm getting the
You
number.
got three pieces.
This is, I gave you the last one first. 4C has got the red.
Well, we already made that 4.
Didn't we?
You want us to put?
Well, just put a
on
C
it?
next to it. Put a C next
This
to
one.
it.
Yeah, that's 4C.
That's 4C.
I had the 4C.
Okay.
Sorry about that, you guys can't even go in order.
Should have brought your secretary along.
Oh, that would have been too easy.
Which
All right.
one should we have in front of us?
4A. We'll go in that order, okay? So 4A, the purpose of 4A, because the summary is there, 4A, if you flip over the page, and forget the first page for a minute.
Can you wait a minute till you get it?
Sure. Sorry about that. We're looking at the big sheet of paper. So your secretary's not doing too good either?
Do you want to hire me?
Sounds like you need to, huh?
All right, everybody good? No? What's going on?
We're getting there. We're getting there. We just need one more.
There's three pieces of paper.
Did you forget one, Rob? Let's see what they're missing. Show me your cards. Let's see what's going on. I think that's the problem. That's, it's coming around the corner. It's coming around the corner. Time out. There you go. And then there's a giant one. which is-
45.
Yeah, you got all three there.
So what this does is, and by the way, there's a 19.
Paul got his own personal set earlier today, so we'll hand those back in for reuse.
More?
You get a big one.
Information, one and certainly, we can help you get it.
We're gonna go to the second page of the paper.
Go across the-
There was, I gave you the third one. That was
All right,
this
okay.
one.
Yeah.
We're ready now. Thank you.
You guys good? All right. We're on it now, so please be quiet.
Wow, you're so guy.
Thank you, Jay.
I know that, that's what I'm trying. Keep this meeting in control.
We're waiting for it.
All right, so if you look at the first one, it's a summary budget, and you look, you've got level 1, level 2, level 3. Now, if you remember, level 1 was white, okay? Level 2 was the green, and level 3 is the magenta or the 1920, 1930s building, correct? Except we have on this sheet, 1930 building is broken out separately underneath it, okay? And there's new construction in between the two. So I apologize for confusing you, but the way the estimate broke it down is the software, that's just the way it does it. But the numbers match up exactly what you saw before and what you're gonna see on 4B, which is what we're gonna focus on after this. The main purpose of showing you all of this is the total budget for each of the categories. You come down, you see we have a line item for food service equipment. You come down, you see we have a line item for the roofing. You come down, we see we have a line item for the site work of $2,892,000. We still have a project contingency of $2 million. We have soft costs of $7.9 million. Now, I knew someone would ask what the soft costs are, so on this sheet, we broke out all the soft costs. So you can have at it, you can look at all those line items and see what they are, and you can know what they are, okay? They're basically architect fees, our fee, financing, not financing is excluded, thank you very much. Insurance is included, furniture and equipment's included, permits are included,
Tapping fees.
tap-in fees are included. That's basically it, you can go down the list. Yes, sir.
Academic question.
Sure.
FF&E,
Fixed furniture,
Furniture.
furniture fixtures and equipment, thank you.
thank you.
It's that furniture that is loose, not that furniture that is tied to the building.
Thank
Countertops are part of the construction, the desk you're sitting at in this room are FF&E.
And those projectors I mentioned, those would come out, for example. You bought some projectors possibly. Okay, so I knew you'd want to see that. So you add that all together, and I guess you've already seen it. We are currently at $55.8 million with all of them, okay? So we're very close to your marker. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, when you said insurance, I can't find that. Oh,
Right there, the $1,145,000.
okay.
Owner-controlled insurance program,
So is that the insurance?
That's the builder's risk and.
No, no, a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Is that the one we're buying?
Yes.
And then it gets, that's what we're paying.
Part of the project.
Okay.
I'm counting everything as part of the project.
Thank you.
Yep. We're trying to make sure this is a full project. The only thing that does not include, and we talked about it last week, is the financing, right, the cost, which will come out when you borrow the money, whatever that financing number would be. That's the only thing that we don't have in here, so this is a total project cost, not just a construction cost. Big difference, right? So you can see, if you take the $7.8 million out, you know, you're not spending $8 million, I mean, some of it is going in construction, it's needed, but it's needed to do the job, bottom line, right? Okay, I'm telling you it's needed.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, you do. I'm telling you it's needed. All right, so this is kind of the summary sheet, okay, so now, if you know that, we can now go to 4B, which is the colored one.
With this stuff.
And, oh, sure, yeah.
When you talk, help me with,
Sure.
I know when you talk about the project contingency, it's really important. It's for things like that we have to change along the way.
Unforeseen, let's keep it simple, it's for unforeseen, whether they be in the design phase, or whether they be in the construction phase,
That something occurred that we didn't.
right, or whether they be some inflation markers that go up on the construction cost, so,
Or change order.
So,
right,
Comes up flat.
it could be,
so is that a
because a lot of change
conservative?
orders are requested by the board.
It's about half of it.
People need, I was gonna ask if that's conservative, and Dr. Shavely indicated,
It's about half of what it really should be.
Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
so that
Excellent
can't.
question.
All right, thank you.
But it's doable.
Okay.
But what it shows you is you are within your range, and we're gonna show you in a couple of minutes some suggestions of what you could do if you wanted to. On the other hand, there's also some suggestions of what you might want to consider doing, which would increase it.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, our job is to give you the information. We've gotten you pretty close to where you need to be. I think at this point, you know, we'll have to talk about it, and then Dr. Faley, I'll ask you for some direction, I'm sure, but, so let's do that. Okay, so let's go to 4B. So all 4B is, if you understood 4A, 4B is simple because it just breaks it down a little simpler there. And by the way, it matches up very nicely with your map, the original floor plan we gave you, so you could look at it and look at the green areas and see what am I getting for 6996. And I didn't pick this up earlier, but Dr. Faley pointed it out. Like if you look between level 1 white and level 2 green, it's a $13 a square foot difference, okay? Which is not a lot. And what is that for? Well, it's for ceilings, it's for some of the miscellaneous casework, some of the miscellaneous finishes, it's for odds and ends, it's for lighting in the hallways, that we're not doing any lighting in level 1, et cetera, et cetera. So we can go through and itemize all of that for you, but then you look, and you go to magenta, and you see the jump. Magenta is $143 a square foot. So we've done it, Jay and everybody, the whole team's done a great job, because we've got most of our building in the $69, right? Okay, and you can see new construction's at $238 for the 21,000 square feet. So it's a very frugal renovation, just by the numbers there, right? I don't have to tell you more than that. You can't buy for 69 what you're buying for 143 or for 238, correct? Okay, so that's what this summary does, and it's the same numbers. So now let's look at 4C, please. Okay? Now, as you can see, this is a work in progress, so that this was hot off the presses. That number at the top, we were hoping was going to be 55.5, but it was really 55.8. Okay, so that number at the top should say 55.8, just so you didn't go back and make all new copies, okay?
Good, because you charge us for those two.
Unbelievable.
It's true. Paper
I said it in a nice way.
You have to share it with everybody. Love you too.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we're going down the list, and now, you know, the first one we pointed out, everything that's in red or with the brackets means it's in the 55.8, and it possibly could reduce the 55.8 if we can eliminate some or a portion of those line items. And we're going to go through each one to kind of give you an idea of some of the work we've been doing. Now, the first one is the HVAC system. As I said, we've got $30 a square foot budgeted. Every dollar a square foot more we spend, it's going to translate to almost $300,000. Every dollar a square foot we save is going to be $300,000. So if we have to upgrade the HVAC system, I'm hoping we can keep it at that $30, because I think you can get a good system for that, not, you know, the most sophisticated system, but a good system. Then, you know, we're on budget. But if you want to save some there, you know, certainly when Gene Hoffman comes to you with options, there could be some discussion on that. But right now, we think we're at a reasonable point, and it's doable for that, okay? So I don't really have a solution for you there, but I just wanted that as information. That's the only place, if you look at this sheet, okay, out of $69, out of all of these, $30 is HVAC. There's really nowhere else I can go find you money. If you go down the list of that scope, and you look at those check marks, there's really not a whole lot for us to go back to you and find you big chunks of savings. So now let's go down the list. The first one is that underslab piping, as you so pointed out, you know, can we do some scoping to determine what's the scope of that work? We're in the process of doing that. Paul and Lee are in the process of scheduling that right now. So there's a potential we don't have to replace all of that piping. So there's a $420,000 line item that hopefully will get reduced by someone, okay? So it says possible savings to be determined after piping is scoped, okay? Did you want to add something? The next one is, this next one, as of our meeting today, I'm recommending we don't do this, but Dr. Cooper may have something to add to that. I don't know that we concluded that discussion, but we have $110,000 in there to do some upgrades. I don't know what they are, to the stage lighting and soundboard. I just think that should be its own separate project, because I think it's going to cost a lot more than $110,000, sorry.
And I just want to add that, I mean, $110,000 is not going to be enough money
Yes,
to replace the lighting board and the soundboard.
correct.
And that equipment is, I think, dates back to 1992.
92,
So when we make a decision in reference to that, we need to understand that
Somewhere later.
at some point, we're going to have to fix that. and it's going to be probably 2 to 3 times
Yeah.
that number.
It's kind of a special project, it's a specialty project, you kind of want to get some more engagement, it's just kind of a difficult project, and I don't think you really need to put that. So my recommendation is that we delete that from the scope with the understanding, like Dr. Faber said, and that reduces 110, we can just pull it out of the budget, and, we'll be at 55.7 now. 55.7. The next item is, we don't recommend this one, we need the elevator, but it's in there, but that could be an alternate bid, but again, all you're doing there is deferring a need. The next one is an important one. Jay and his team is gonna try to do some work on this, but with the code, there could be some potential costs that have to be incurred for various code reasons. We've got about $450,000 allocated in the budget for that. We're hoping that a portion of that might not need to be used, so there's some potential reduction there that could be, hopefully come back as we move forward.
A lot of it will be required because we do need new handrails, new railings, all those codes have changed, that's a given. But we think we're going to be able to perhaps do a little better in some of the other areas.
And we'll know more Friday, because that's.
Well, Friday is with, actually outside the building with the site, I will see if I can have that, I think we're gonna, we should know in the next 2 weeks, we're gonna schedule a separate meeting probably for that. It's a big topic to discuss, there's a lot of technical issues that are on the table. Rest assured, the students are safe, the building is safe, but as codes change, technically the building doesn't conform to the codes today, because the codes today are different. We're going to add sprinklers, we're going to reconfigure some stairwells, we're going to add all new fire alarms. That certainly should make everybody feel really, really good, that those few technical issues that are in there that are not able to be changed shouldn't cause any harm. So that would help us. By the letter of the code, that building requires a great deal of work to meet today's codes.
Utility main upgrades is the next one, and we have $190,000 there for upgrading the water line, the fire line coming in. And, as we get further along, there's a possibility some of that might not be needed. The next one here for $200,000 is transformers. We've talked today, and those could last for a while. There's a little bit of legwork we need to do on that, but for the most part, that could just be an alternate bid. So again, that's one decision that you could make depending on the bid prices come in.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
It says do not replace 4 at $50,000 each, but you have $200,000 in there.
That's the credit he's got them, these are changes you
If I
can
don't
make.
replace them, then I have $200,000 in the budget, sir.
Oh,
So if I
okay.
decide not to replace them completely, defer the replacement of them, you can take $200,000
Okay,
off.
all right. But if you made a decision that you don't want to replace them at this point, the rest of them going along, it's still up in the air.
Well, this one, what I'm saying is this one, we could just simply, if you don't want to make a decision soon, we could just do an alternate bid for it. So on bid day, we have a line item under the electrical contractor scope that says to replace these transformers, here's the number. We'll actually know the real hard cost by then. We'll know where we stand with all these other things, and we can make a decision then. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Right now, in our budget, they are to be replaced.
Okay, well, the notes up front there said do not replace. That's what it said.
Yeah,
If I do not
if you don't replace them, you'll save a potential $200,000.
Maybe we could have worded it better, I apologize. Eliminate masonry wall and coping. Again, I don't even know that that's a good one to consider, but we're just letting you know we have $70,000 in for that. Same thing for the rest of the building. I think it's something that
Probably needs to happen.
probably should do. I don't know that those are good alternates, but, we're just giving you options, because I don't know how, we've tried very hard, but I don't know how firm your 55 is, so we're giving you the whole option, and you have to tell us if we're close enough, or if we still have to go back. I mean, so.
Ari, can I just, for a point of clarification?
Sure.
From your professional opinion, the things that you have highlighted in red are things that you would suggest that we do
Yes.
in this project.
That's why we have them in the
The reason why they're
budget.
listed in red is, in the event that you want to get from that 55.8
Eight.
figure to 55,
Right.
those are things that you could eliminate, but it's not your recommendation to do that.
Correct.
Okay.
Including the one right below it, which is reduced project contingency. And you could go into this saying you have $800,000, which is I think what you were saying, so you were right on target, you were just a step ahead of me. All of you have been a step ahead of me. I'm trying, but you're all a step
Telling
ahead.
you something, isn't it?
That's right. Not as good as I think. I'm trying though.
But you promote the next one,
Yeah.
increase the project.
Yeah, I think you should consider the next. Increase the project contingency, because that's where now it starts the other way. So I put that in there purposely. So, because now it starts the other way, now the numbers go up. If you want to do the built-up roof, it could be $1.8 million more, but that's an easy one that could be an alternate bid. I don't think that you need to decide today. I really think that's a decent alternate bid.
I think it'd be more, that's more important than anything else on your list. In my opinion, that roof, it's, what's on top of the whole building. All these other things, possibly we could do at a later date if we had to, but we're only gonna do the roof once.
Well, the one that I think is challenging, I agree with you to a certain degree, that the transformers and all that should be done later. The one that I'm not sure about is that underslab piping, because in that area, we're gonna be doing new work, and it'd be a shame to have to go back there after the fact.
We're gonna see whether it needs it or not.
Correct, exactly. So it's a very good point. Yep. So the next one is, we've kind of talked about the next one, is $390,000 for the toilet facilities. And that, as I said, was based on a lead decision, so you don't need to do it. The next page over is another $360, which is related to that same thing. So that's that same number, I hope they are, that's the $750, which was on the lead sheet, if you remember. Okay, so that's where those came from. For the most part, things are adding up. We should find a lead. Next one is, I can't find that, I tried. The next one is the 1930s auditorium seating. If you want to replace those, there's a budget line item for that. That could be an alternate also. I mean, you don't want to have at some point, we're going to need some direction and some decisions, okay? I understand it's the first time you've seen this.
I just want to make a point on the auditorium seats.
Thank you, go ahead.
If we choose not to replace the seats, that space becomes basically unusable, correct, Paul?
Why?
The fact is, we cannot get replacement parts for the seats because they're 1930s
30s.
edition, so I can't find, so I can't repair them. And if we can't repair them, eventually you can't sit in them. Okay. Does that make sense?
No, it sounds like they're all broke now.
No, they're not all broken now. What we're doing now, we're robbing parts from up in the lobby, the high area.
So
Nobody
right
sits
now,
in-
they're usable.
Yes, they're used right now. So we take those parts when they break, and then we take them down and we fix what's not broken down below, or what's broken down below. But eventually, in 5 or 10 years, when all the parts are broken, you can't get hinges, and you can't get the support feet, and you can't get the chairs, then you can't use the seating.
So you're
But
predicting,
again, it's one of those things, and we can say, it's a possible alternative bid if we can't do it now.
but you're predicting 5 or 10 years we're good for it.
I think that's
That's what you just
That's a
said.
guess.
Well-
If the kids are really well behaved,
Our children are
they
all
sit there and
well.
don't ever move, you know, and then they last forever, maybe. But I have no difference. So they're gonna eventually all break, and then we'll have to replace them sooner or later.
And then they'll sit on the floor, I guess.
I was gonna issue pillows.
Sounds good to me.
My point was just that it's important that we know that auditorium is in the stage of life where it's more and more becoming difficult to maintain.
How do we have that in our program,
And what's the
in
use?
looking at the building, that building itself, as to how that auditorium would be used?
Brett?
It would service the ninth grade academy students, since the majority of their day would be spent in that academy, with the exception of the 2 or 3 periods are coming out for the related studies classes.
Would there be money in the capital projects for that?
It's, you know, we talked about the long-term plan for capital projects. It's gonna get tighter and tighter as the budget gets tighter and tighter. How are we gonna fund, how are we gonna earmark money out of the general fund budget and put it into capital projects? If we're faced with, you know, tight budgets, we just can't afford to put a line item in there, you know, like we used to 5, 6 years ago, that every year $500,000 we put in capital projects for those long-term repairs that need to be done. We eliminated that line item, you know, 5 years ago when we did that budget. It's more and more difficult to transfer money these days.
Glenn?
I have a really silly question. I know we're gaining space with a gym, you're building new, but we're losing the gym and we lose a couple uses of the gym in the old building. Why didn't we consider, because one of the community members told me where the auditorium used to be I think it used to be classrooms, or could be classrooms or something, I don't know. They were talking about utilizing that, was that a possibility?
Using
What was-
the auditorium classroom?
Yes, changing that, and then keeping the gym, I don't know.
It was
I just
less
wondered what
expensive to
was it
fix,
less expensive?
the gym has a couple of flaws. The locker rooms are on the wrong level, so to service those gyms in today's, you need some kind of an elevator to get back and forth to meet the code from the gym. The gym is kind of small, the runoff isn't enough.
Okay.
And the gym has a level floor in it, which makes it fairly easy adaptable, whereas the auditorium has a balcony and a sloped floor, and actually pretty nice. It'll serve well, if we can scrape up a couple bucks and fix the seating and the finishes, it's a pretty good multi-purpose room for that academy. The ninth grade guys and gals will have their own spot. Whereas the gym, it wasn't gonna fit the educational program, it was too small,
Okay.
bad locker room, so that was the decision that was made.
Okay.
And we thought, in order to keep the academy thing pure, they went down that academy hangs together down there with all the other athletics. So there was a lot of thought, actually.
Put into how to do that.
We were trying
I was
to,
just curious.
we tried all kinds of combinations of permutations, and that we felt was the best serves the district.
So we have two items.
Wait, we have a question.
Oh,
One more
sorry.
question.
Yeah, that's
I wanted to follow up on Mrs. Hartford's
Sure.
question to Dr. Cooper. So compared to how we utilize that auditorium today, do you see the level or the type of use being different, both during construction and after the project is complete?
You mean throughout the construction phasing?
And afterward?
I mean, throughout the construction phasing, we're gonna tap in every corner of that building we can, and probably have classes on stages, and just what you do in construction with your phasing. Afterwards, I see it servicing our grade 9 academy students as a large group instruction room, because we won't have that capability, and there won't be a space up there other than that to use in that capacity.
And you don't-
Because there is, an existing large group instruction room that's being converted to classrooms as well as the gymnasium, as a science classroom, so that would be the only space up there.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Okay, so we have 2 alternates there for the auditorium. And what I was saying with the alternates, at some point, I think we're gonna need some directions and decisions, because I like some alternates, but we don't also wanna come to you on bid day with 27 alternates and drive the contractors and you and everybody crazy. So at some point, as we hone the project, I think the roof, I think the auditorium, there's certain categories of alternates I think we can pick for you. Right now, we're just listing them because we want to get some feedback from you, but I'm not suggesting that all of these become alternates, okay? Because otherwise, it'll be a very complicated bid project, and it'll turn into another problem. I'll have to talk about that separately. So at some point, I think we need some decision-making as we move along, okay?
And we could prioritize
Correct.
our alternates.
Well, I think at some point, we got to decide some, though.
Yeah.
And just say, you know what, Because if we start adding up and say, look, I want the roof, I want this, and then you're still telling me, well, I'm not gonna increase the budget at all, then I'm gonna tell you, like, we're just wasting our time, and everybody's not doing it, you know? 'Cause we don't have that much room in this to find you $1.8 million on roof if you're not even gonna spend a little bit, you know what I mean, something. There needs to be some parameters established. Okay, so the next one is the lighting. We talked about that in the lead. You know, there would be a $550,000 to replace the lighting in the green area, level 2, okay? The emergency generators, you know, could be replaced. They're old, but they're still functional. There's that elevator again, the traction elevator. We don't think that's a good idea, but we think it should be done.
It should be
Sorry.
replaced.
Yeah, I know.
That 85 really should be in.
Should be in. We were just trying to find chunks of money to try to keep this thing close to your budget, okay? That's what we're doing here. So we're not saying, this next one's an interesting one. There's these terrazzo flooring defects that you have, and we've got an allocation there if you want to do that. This next one's interesting because I know at some point you did have tennis courts in, but as we told you, we're gonna tell you what you can't afford, and right now, there's not in the site cost new tennis courts. That could be an item that you've got to consider. And then this one's a kind of one that I think has been talked about before, but it's a 6-foot wide sidewalk and a fencing along Keel Street to Burke Street. So it's that back side of the stadium. Maybe one of you could describe it better. But that's like a $95,000 to run sidewalk and fencing up there. I think some people want to walk them up there, and I don't know, it's been brought to our attention, so.
But they can walk up the street in front of the high school, right?
We could do that.
That's just an alley you're talking about.
For some reason, the students say path of least resistance, they're using it as a sidewalk.
It's just for you to consider. And then the last one, I'm almost done with this list, and then we could go to questions again. But the last one was, I did tell you you had $1,000,005 in furniture and equipment. You know, again, not saying you don't need it, I think you need all of it. I think the administration, everyone has really been very frugal here on this whole project. Certainly that's, am I right? So, I just, before I turn it over to questions, I just want to mention that, you know, everybody on our team did a lot of hard work. I'm here talking, but I'm talking on behalf of the team. I certainly didn't do all of this work by myself. Thank the administrative team for all of their time and effort, but also my team, John, put a lot of time into this, as well as Jim from the office, and all of KCBA's people. A lot of effort went into getting you here. We're ahead of schedule, bringing you, I think, reasonably good information and somewhat positive information. But turn it over to you again.
I just wanted to ask a question about the generators.
Sure.
How old are they, and the way we have them hooked up, would we have 3 to do what we had to have done in emergency?
Yeah, because of the size of the building, the capacity, I think we do need 300 kW. How they're hooked up, are they in sequence or different parts?
Different areas of the building, and they are all 3 max loaded right now, so we need all 3 as they exist. 2 of them were put in the 92 edition, and the one in the 03 story, it was there long before I was born, I think. It's very old.
They'll work it.
They do.
Now, you said they all go on different times, but would we
serve
have,
different areas of the building.
okay, let me rephrase my question then. Would we need that many to keep cool what we want to keep cool? Not to keep the kids in school, in case of an outage.
It's also for emergency lighting.
Emergency lighting, keep the refrigerators running, keep the pumps and the boilers running.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
All those things are what.
So you're saying we still need the 3?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And I would say that from my standpoint, and from our standpoint, we're going to, next steps would be, we have another meeting scheduled on November 6th. So So there's been a lot of information shared with the board this evening that is going to be, probably going to be looked at in greater depth. But come November 12th, we will have an item on the agenda for the board to approve the conceptual design, whatever that might be in the priorities that we address at the meeting on November 6th, to approve that conceptual design so that we can authorize KCBA and Dewey Associates to go into the next phase, which is the schematic phase of the project. And each one of those has board approval option.
So by the November 12th meeting, we'll have a recommendation for the lead and all of these alternates and adjustments.
Yes, but we have one more facilities meeting on the 6th that we can have conversation based on all of the information that you've heard this evening.
John?
Yes.
This is Steve, I have a question.
Yes? Go ahead.
Well, it sounds like a lot of hard work was put in everything. I have a couple of questions. One is, last meeting, we had talked about intricacies of the unknown as we dive into old buildings and stuff. And I believe the number was around over $2 million for unknown contingencies. Is that $2 million in the 55.8, or would that be above 55.8?
The $2 million is in the 55.8.
Okay. The next question, or maybe comment, some of these contingencies, obviously I don't have anything in front of me. I think it would help, or maybe it's there, is what would be the recommendation of the administration on some of these alternative items, whether to do them or not to do them, that would either cost more money or save money. And which one could, impact most students, the least students, things like that. So I'm not sure if that's all the chief, but teachers and students, the administration, they're, you're the guys that have to live with the finished product. So it might help in decision making which ones you really feel strong about, which ones you don't.
Steve?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Dr.
I do have a third question.
All right.
And this was a little bit more back to the previous presentation. I didn't get my question in, but on some of the lead items, I think the gold, everything I know and what I'm testing is going to be very costly to go to gold. But silver, I was just curious. Needed.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Well, that shouldn't be some items, but some of the
Did you understand what you're saying? Steve, we don't understand, we can't make sense out of what you're saying. You there?
You might be driving and, black hole.
I'll tell you what, he can email the questions into the administration, and we'll respond with the answers. I think he was saying, what's it cost for silver? And I think that was still the baseline number.
Right.
But he didn't hear, I can't imagine what he's going through without any handouts.
Yeah.
He said must be, we have extras, we'll make sure that they get back to the administration, everybody has them.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I want to go back to the first one. I have concerns about the stacking of the three buses. I know what it was like at elementary with just two stacking with that. And, somebody walks in between there, hey, Joe, he's there talking, and the other kids are getting on the bus, and they're all loaded up.
Well, one,
You stack three now with all, well, you don't have
The
the same
majority,
numbers.
now the majority of them we stack three.
Do you?
There are some
Okay.
that are two.
Okay.
we've actually gone as far as 4. As long as you stagger them so that the door is to the curb, pick the right age kids, these are high school numbers, I wouldn't try it with elementary grades. And you have to have a couple bus monitors, and nobody moves the bus until somebody's walked and seen
So
between
you
them.
all, yeah,
There's a protocol, or you're out of luck.
okay. Yeah,
It's,
that's good.
In an ideal world, we would have preferred two, but look how long it takes to do three.
Yeah, no,
The other option is to queue them off-site and do 2 runs, but that's usually a mess. This should work the best, we hope.
okay.
Good.
I just want to thank you for all the hard work you did and the explaining you did.
Thank you.
And now that you're all happy with me, if I add up all those figures, we'll be up to 71 million.
That's the trick, right? You figure out we do this bait and switch. No, we work.
No, but thank you very much. You did a good job of explaining it to us, at least I understand it all. And I appreciate that. And administration for their hard work, and Mr. Semblasky.
The question I have is if we step back to when we originally started this project, and we had a feasibility study. And the cost factor came into how much it would cost to renovate all of our buildings, to bring them up to code, whatever we needed to do to renovate our buildings. And I guess I was looking through here to see if I had the original feasibility study to say how much that cost was to renovate a 1930 building. And what we're getting right now in the renovation and everything to actually utilize it as classroom space. And in the same, we also had a number for renovating the rest of the high school too. So to me, if we just looked at it, that without doing anything, if we just took our buildings, the current building that we have now, and renovate, to bring them up to date, just what needs to be done, what the cost was compared to what we're looking at right now, and what we're gaining and getting with just some additional square footage, and yet we're also gonna accommodate a home undergrad. So I guess I think we sort of need to think of some of these things, like when we're looking at alts, and things that we want a part of our project, it could be, in my mind, sort of geared to the original feasibility that this is just, we're just renovating our building, and we really might want to put some more money into it so that it's not just a renovation, that it is a new quote-unquote looking, feeling high school for our academic programs and the way education is going. And so some of the alts we might look at them as feeling that they could be more necessary than not, because we're looking at it from a long-term perspective.
Okay, I think Joe addressed that in one of his comments earlier, about we ought to prioritize the alternatives, you know.
Right, but I think the number, which I said, I just don't have my original ones here, is to look at that, look at our project from a renovation feasibility standpoint, those numbers that we got initially, just to do that, and what we're getting now.
I think we have to be careful about the original numbers you're talking about. The last year or 5 years ago, because things have changed, you know, inflation-wise. And even though it may look good at that time, I don't know what it's gonna look like right now.
Right, but that's a baseline to start with, is
Yeah.
our feasibility study.
Yeah, okay.
That we did, I mean, that's state required and everything, and it's already been filed, so I would think those numbers would be valid that we received.
Any other questions? Yes.
I was just looking at the list of potential alternates, and I was looking, for instance, I looked at auditory seating. I think are there creative ways that we can legitimately upgrade those kinds of things that wouldn't be part of this project? You know, can you have contributions, say, from the class of 1930 that would, you know, donate funds to add seats or things like that. Are there things here that we could look at creatively, you know, in a more creative way of how can we supply that to, you know, upgrade the buildings as we might like? You know, there are other things that we can do.
All the people that came out to save the building, the 1930s building, would they not be interested in?
Well, I don't know if you can do that with this,
But it's just a thought to throw out to think about.
Right, we have been looking for ways to support our education
Right.
program with naming fields and things like that.
Right.
So it's another step in that same direction.
Right.
Yes, and Joe?
I just wondered, how are you doing with the Montgomery Avenue project, bringing Monmouth Street out there? Is that getting anywhere with that?
We will meet with the borough and the township on Friday. We priced it, we know it can be physically done, and we'll be meeting with them to get their opinion. What I had heard, the last team that talked to those guys, they were pretty pumped about, they were anxious for that to happen. Everybody seems to feel as though it's a good
Is
idea.
Monroe gonna be one way out, or is it gonna be two?
We had a lot of discussion both with them and with you guys.
Hey, Steve, it's Dave. I'm sorry we
Just
lost
at
you
the
there.
beginning of it.
The reason I asked
Better
that is
spot than you
because
would
if you're
break it.
having, if you're having everything coming in off of Philadelphia Avenue, on Madison, or the road in front of the,
Well, we're sort of summarizing.
that's why I asked about the runaround on Madison, going around between the stadium and the building, so that you would have more than one way in there.
We have options now, if they all do count on Montgomery to get, Monroe to get extended. We'd like to get control of it, and then we have lots of flexibility. If the district was able to control that last leg, which is on our property, we could do both. We could set it up by time of day, by monitor, by, you know, there's just lots to do. And I think that's where we're gonna start, and see if we can get the best flows going.
Is there anything in their plan for fencing on those athletic fields that they're going to do the road there?
We had a, it's called a ball stopper, and maybe you've seen the way you go back to golf drive range with these big net things. We have a couple proposed in order to protect and if you had it gated, you might not care so much. If you have traffic, you definitely want it. There's a lot of, this is a concept only. We really worked hard to get you a concept, but now we gotta get the detail. My goal is to give you the most flexibility. If Coalbrookdale will allow us to own that last stretch and gate it, we can kind of talk to them about how much, and we can even try a couple things and try some different combinations. It all hinges on the fact that the road should go through. And we priced that in this.
Okay, thank you.
So the road is included in
The
this?
road extension is included in the site plan, yes.
Now, we were able to get Steve back on the line, and he had a third question. Do you still remember what it was, Steve?
Yes, I want to go back a bit in the meeting to the savings going to the lead. The goal, I sense, and I think Dr. Faisley stated, you know, my sense is it's going to be extremely costly. But what I am interested in is with the lead silver, there's obviously a capital expense to do the plumbing or change out the lighting. My question is, there's got to be some sort of pretty good estimate on what the savings would be. So for example, even with the water cheap, but over the life expectancy, say 20 years, if you save 10% on the water bill, as an example, what would that equate to over 20 years? Or the lighting or whatever else would be involved in the lead silver items. I think there were a couple, I remember the lighting and the plumbing in particular, there might have been a third one in that. So there's got to be a way, I would think, to estimate a percentage of savings.
Anything else, Steve?
That's it, thank you.
Oh, well, while you're on here, one of your comments was about what we're going to be doing in the future. And were you aware that the administration is going to give us a presentation, a recommendation at the next meeting?
Oh, okay.
So that should help quite a bit.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I have one. I want to go back to the last meeting. And you gave us this nice chart here, right?
Oh, I didn't even bring those tonight, yes.
What?
Okay,
I saved it.
good. I did too, but I left it at the office.
But on the first floor of the academy, we show a large area for district functions. What are we talking about?
Okay, they exist now, and two primary ones are IT. Your whole district IT system comes to that point. We thought, hey, it's in a good spot, it's in a secure spot, it's very expensive to move it, we'll leave it. You also have district printing, and again, district printing is doing a good job where they are. We didn't really feel that we benefited by taking those spaces for something else, we left district printing and IT where it is.
It seems like a big area.
Well, I tell you what, it's
What are we talking about?
you have a lot of IT stuff that you do.
Yeah, the IT the printing.
The IT has the whole center.
With the computers changing and the printers changing, things like that, I don't know if we need that much space. That's all. I saw this thing about district, and I didn't understand why we would have it there.
We left it because it's very expensive. It's like open heart surgery to move the IT link to your districts and
No, it's
public
okay.
lives.
I didn't know what it was.
Right.
Any other questions?
I just did a calculation, Mr. Elsier, last year, the high school incurred cost of water and sewer of $45,000. If you're saying we're gonna save 10%, which is $4,500, and we're gonna pay $700,000, that's a 155-year payback.
Well, there you go, thank you.
I'll take no tax.
This makes sense, it's pretty easy.
And I'll be here to make sure it happens. Okay, anything else?
Well, that's, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jay and
Thank you,
Marie and John.
gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Nice presentation.
Thank
Very
you.
nice, yeah. Thank you again.
It was very enlightening.
Okay, the last issue we have to discuss, and I believe the bid results were included in your bid packet on Friday. We had a bid opening for the storefront at Pine Forge Elementary. And I know that when Paul put this on the capital projects listing, he had estimated about $20,000 for the cost of this. And the bids came in, and I think we received 5 bids, 5 or 6 bids. Is it 4? Okay. And the low bid was, that was A.G. Morrow, right? A.G. Morrow. And it came in at $19,180. So Paul did a really nice job of estimating, and we are going to be recommending that the approval of or the acceptance of the bid from A.G. Morrow to replace the entrance doors at Pine Forge be on the agenda for next Tuesday.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that include like the security, right into the office, that approach, or is it just the doors?
Just the front doors. We're having problems with 2 things, the aluminum frames are rusting, and then the hardware doesn't match all the time. We've had maintenance guys working on it for a while. So this replaces all the whole glass, all the framing, and all the existing access control that we have is going to be replaced with new. But it doesn't take care of the security issues in the office.
Okay, thank you.
It's just another proof that
Yes, Ruth?
Do we have a buzzer there that, like they did at Coverdale or do at Coverdale?
Every school has a buzzer that you punch, and they starts the
They can
camera,
see
they
it.
see you, and then they either allow you in or don't allow you.
Okay, so we do have that locked down all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so the things that we'll be doing, like replacing the doors, because if it doesn't address the situation that, like it did in Coverdale, it's still a security issue there. That shouldn't affect somewhere down the road if we want to change that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? As I understand it, right, the now replacement is because of deterioration of the present door. It will not improve the security, other than the fact that the door will lock. But I mean, it will not require people to go through the office to get into the building.
Correct.
It's secure now, right, so it's okay to put security doors.
I think it's better than it's ever been. I mean, it's the same, once we had access control, you don't get in the building until, as long as the door's locked.
That's not going to change.
Any other questions or comments? Can we put on the budget? Go ahead, Barbara.
No, you said any other questions or comments, and you're still referring to the door.
Yeah. The question is, do we want to put on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now, Barbara, committee comments.
Okay. I noticed that you had a presentation that you said you got at the last meeting, and I wasn't at the last meeting. I did get some printed material, like this type of thing. But I didn't know whether you had an extra copy of that. Right, I don't have that. So if
I can get you.
Oh, okay, good. I would like to.
Any other comments? Steve, welcome.
Well,
You cut out on us.
I know, Route 100.
Yeah. You came all the way back from Florida?
Just for tonight's
It was a good time. No public comments. Okay. Next, we have announcements. The October the 8th curriculum committee.
That's over and done.
That's it, that's over and done. So we have October 22nd is the board meeting, personnel meeting at 6 o'clock, and board meeting at 7 o'clock. And then the next, at Washington Elementary. And then our next scheduled, finance and facility committee meetings are scheduled for November 6th, which is a Wednesday, the day after elections. The facilities meeting will start at 6, and the finance committee meeting will start thereafter, but it's advertised at 7. I'm sorry I did not update that.
Well,
That's here at the end second.
you're protected, because down here at the bottom says, please note this agenda is subject to change. So I think we just changed it. Move adjourn? Second?
Every time.
Yeah.